Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Max, I'm your host for today, and welcome to Forge TV This Question Time. Just to let you guys all know, we have split the candidates into two groups for filming, so make sure you stay tuned for both groups. And just beginning with question one, we're just going to start with you, Will, and work our way around to Daisy. Just give your name, your area and course of study, and just what inspired and influenced you to run for the position of SU President.
So I'm Will, I'm a second year economics student, and the reason why I'm running for SU President is because I've been quite active with student activism over the last few months with the Palestine issue and stuff like this. I'm a member of Marxist Society, so I'm quite active in these sort of things. And I think the student union can be used as a tool for students to mobilise, to organise themselves and resolve these political issues better.
Lovely. Yeah, on to you, Ronke.
Cool. Hi everyone, my name is Ronke. I am in my final year studying law, which is fun and terrifying at the same time. I decided to run for president for 3 reasons. One, the past 3 years I've been here, there has been no black person who has run for president. Not one, run. And once again, I'm the only black person running for president, so that's very cool. So I just want to do this to show you that you can do it, and this is a space that you can be in. Second thing, there's a woman named Karina, and she works in the information commons. She's so lovely. She serves rice and curry, and I go get rice and curry all the time. It's usually £3.50. As of this year, it's £6. I do not have £6. Apparently, the university removed the subsidy. Why? I don't know, but I will get to the bottom of it. And thirdly, Zoom cards are no longer a thing. That gave me cardiac arrest when I saw it, and we need to do something about it. University of Manchester, University of Warwick, they have acquired whole bus routes. As the #1 SU in the UK, we can do better. That's why.
Lovely. And from you, Zoe.
Hi, I'm Zoe Lancaster, she, her. I'm in my 4th year of studying East Asian Studies. I've been here since the pandemic, which feels a lifetime away now. And I wanted to run for SU President because I've been working on the officer team for the past year as a women's officer, and I've seen in the flesh the potential that this role has for really positive student campaigning, but the role itself is really bogged down with just meetings with the uni and a sense that not actually going out and campaigning, not actually using the role for what it's meant to be used for, which is uplifting student voice. And this is not the fault of any particular SU presidents, they've all been great. It's just the role itself needs to be transformed. It needs to be changed into one that does not serve backdoor bureaucracy, but serves the student voice. And I want to do that, I want to change that, and that's why I want to be SU President.
Lovely, great answer. And from you, Johnny.
Hi, I'm Jono. I'm a 4th year psychology student, so I've been here quite a while, the same as Zoe since COVID. I want to run for SU President because when I started in my 1st year, everything was shut. I had a awful experience. I was home for 6 months and I had no friends. I had to get a house for people that I didn't know off a group chat. And then I got the job over the summer going into my 2nd year at the Foundry. And since working in the SU and getting all those opportunities, I've been able to meet my friends, my partner, get so many amazing experiences I never would have anywhere else. And it's my home now. I've worked 2,000 hours in the SU. So I feel an overwhelming sense of responsibility and debt to your home, and like if you see something broken in your home, you want to fix it. Mm-hmm. So I want to fix some issues that I've seen kind of behind the scenes as president.
Perfect, thank you, Johnny. Johnny, and finally from you, Daisy.
Hi, I'm Daisy, so I'm in my 2nd year studying Global Sustainable Development. I think a big reason why I wanted to run for the SU is I've been very active in the SU. Like Jono, the SU has become my home. I'm in council, I work in democracy. I also work in the welfare and academic services at the SU, and I think having all of those professional experiences, working with the university, working against the university sometimes, trying to work to ensure that student rights are heard in the SU, definitely inspired me and pushed me and empowered me to run for this role. But I think it's also my personal experiences and a lot of the empathy I have towards what loads of students experience as a student who's been on a leave of absence, as a student who's dealt with mental health issues, as a student who's been quite let down by elements of the university. I saw this role and the people that I've worked with over the past 2 years, and I thought, you know, it's an opportunity to make a genuine change about somewhere that really means a lot to me.
Excellent. So thank you all for making the time to attend today, and also for those great answers as to what has encouraged and inspired you all to run for the position of president. Okay, so in my hands here, a question submitted by students into the SU's Instagram story posted yesterday. We're going to get right into it with the first question, and that first question is, in what ways have you previously been involved with the SU, And why does this make you an ideal candidate for president? We started with Will last time, so instead we'll start with Ronke this time and then work our way back around and end with you, Will. Ronke, take it away. Okay,
So, I was president of the Nigerian Society, which was really fun. The first similarity is president. So, and I think I am an excellent team worker. I think a lot of people don't realize that the role of president, more than anything, is making sure that every other person can do the role well. I think I'm a great people's person, and I think I can encourage and motivate people to do their jobs and to do it excellently. So I think that's one reason why. That's what I've been doing with the SU. It's so difficult to think about it on the spot as well.
No.
But that's why I make a great president for the SU. And in my first year, I was academic representative for law and French because j'ai pas foncé. Vote for me, please. And I think I was able to represent the views of the students on the law course to faculty, and I can do that as well in the role of president. Vote for me.
Tremendous. Okay, Zoe, what about you? How have you been involved with the SU previously?
Okay. I began really getting involved with political activism in the SU when I became the SU councillor for my department. So I was the East Asian Studies councillor. My friends who at council now often say that I was that person who came with all the policies literally printed out, shuffling to council, ready to stick my hand up and either support or have a go at policies that were being presented. And then last year, because I ran to be the Women's Students Part-Time Officer and won that, and since then I've been working in the SU every week. I've been meeting with so many people all across the SU and with the university as well, sometimes fighting against them as well. But I don't want to necessarily stress that me having been an officer is going to be the thing that will make me a good SU president. The thing that will make me a good SU president is because I'm going to tackle food issues, housing issues and mental health issues within the SU and within the university life, and I've really got the drive to make sure that I'm accountable to do that. So I think, yeah, I've got the experience, but it's what I'm going to do with that experience which will make me a great president.
Lovely. Thank you, Zoe. And what about you, Johnny?
I've been involved in the SU, like I said, through working in the outlets. I started in a foundry, and then I've worked my way up from bar staff to assistant manager now. I've also worked in advertising as well, planning all the freshers' fairs. I've worked on the welcome desk. I've worked in the Sheffield store. I've been in every aspect of the SU working. So that's given me a lot of insight into what needs to be changed, and then also what can feasibly be changed within a year. And I feel like that's what will make me a good president, is like the experience and the knowledge and the insight.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And what about you, Daisy?
So I've kind of had a very varied journey around the SU. So last year, my first year, I ran to be Ethical and Environmental Councillor of SU Council. I won it, which was amazing. I then ran for Vice Chair within Council, and I also won that, which is great. So I've been Ethical and Environmental Councillor and Vice Chair for 2 years running now, and Council, I think, is sometimes quite an unknown entity. So it's basically the highest decision-making body in the SU. We pass all the policy that makes sure that you enact change in your SU, which is great. As of summer, I now work in the Student Advice Centre. I'm one of their receptionists and also a front-facing advisor on anything to do with academic issues, money issues or housing issues. It has been probably my favourite job ever. I get to speak to students every day about what they're experiencing. I get to help people, especially with landlords. I also work as an academic facilitator, so I help support all 600 academic reps, specifically ensuring that they're able to feel advocated in academic spaces, and I also help students during their disciplinary processes. And on top of that, I love being involved, so I'm in multiple societies. I'm Inclusions Officer for Sustainability Committee. I'm very busy, but I love it, and I love being a part of the Students' Union and working with loads of people. I think that experience working with people and helping people and actually enjoying doing those things and working with a team and having all of those experiences would genuinely help me make a good team as SU president.
Well, yeah, certainly a decorated CV. And last but not least, what about you, Will?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I'm a member of the Marxist Society, and I'm the treasurer of the Marxist Society at the university. And like I said, I've been very active in sort of recent political developments, a lot of Palestine activism, stuff like this, and also climate change activism, stuff like this. And I've seen firsthand the energy of students at this university, the potential, the revolutionary potential at this university. from students. And I just don't think that the SU is currently utilising this energy to install change, to install meaningful change. So I think what would separate me and what I would stand for, the movement that I would stand for, is the ambition of the movement. So when you read my manifesto, my demands are quite ambitious, but I think that using the energy that I've seen that people have at this university for change is completely possible. Unifying people at this university with workers at the university and outside, and different student unions around the country can really make substantial change.
Wow, yeah, great answer. Okay, then, so let's move on to the second question, which I guess somewhat comes into what a few of you guys have been saying, is are you happy with the current levels of engagement with the SU from students? And how would you encourage more students generally to get involved with the SU, be that through societies, activities, or other forms of events? Let's start with you, Zoe.
No. Yeah, there's your answer. No. No, I'm not. I remember last elections, it was a case that 20% of the student body voted, and this was considered like, oh my God, that's groundbreaking. I was thinking, what? If the SU is really to be utilised in its most productive way, it needs to be in a way that the students are engaging with. And if students aren't engaging with it, if only 20% of the student body actually even want to vote, then that, I don't necessarily blame them, because it shows that the current system is not good enough. Like I said, one of the big things in my manifesto that I really want to introduce is just open SU president meetings. I think that is very easy, all of us here, that we all write manifestos, and then we, whichever of us win, we'll have that manifesto, and then it'll just sort of get lost to the void, and we'll potentially get into the bubble of just like, oh, working in the SU. And so sometimes it's very easy to forget that you're actually meant to be advocating for the students. I don't want to be a president that's just going to be hidden in meetings all the time, and you never see them, and you never engage with them, and someone who doesn't actually listen to your ideas. So I think having open SU president meetings where not only can I be held accountable whether am I actually doing my manifesto, but also to ensure that students can come and tell me their issues, and then I adopt it into my goals instead of them just feeling like the SU president is some faraway entity that doesn't want to engage with them. I think that we need a president for the people, and that is quite literally my campaign slogan, is vote Zoe a president for the people.
Lovely. And what about you, Jenny?
No, I'm the same. I've been from working on the welcome desk and working in the outlets. I've seen the busyness of the SU has really diminished. We're closing on a Sunday now, a lot of our building, and it's really having an impact on societies. So I think that SU can do better on that. Nightline, I was coordinator of Nightline, and the SU shut us down. They had 8 hours of meetings with us, but then in the end, they decided we weren't worth the time and the money. And I think that sent a message about what the SU thinks about student mental health. So I want to engage students with mental health. And I agree with Zoe. I think I'm definitely more of a doer. I want to be a president on the ground, listening to the student voice, because ultimately that's what a union is. It's the voice of the people. So yeah, that's what I want to do.
Lovely. Great answer, Jenny. Thank you. And what about you, Daisy?
I think unsurprisingly, no. I'm not very happy with the engagement. I think one of the main elements of my manifesto and also my campaign, and also having spoken to students and this whole planning process, has been that it's more about utilising the building of the SU, so it's a student space, make it a student space, make it feel like a student space. One of my really, a manifesto point that's a bit less, I guess, serious in the welfare section, but more on the basis of how do students feel comfortable in their spaces, is having more artwork and greenery that's been commissioned by students in the SU, making sure it feels like a safe space, having campaign spaces, having a library for liberation, doing all of these things. But similarly, I think it's just about utilising our resources. Like a lot of the other candidates have said, I would really like to introduce free SDI testing. Also like anti-spiking kits in Foundry, where people with your ticket, it's £5.50, you should probably get an actual drink cover with it. Possibly the opportunity to make it feel safer by actually having the opportunity to test your drinks in Foundry. I've got a lot of ideas for how we can make the SU a safer place that feels more welcoming for everyone. And I think that is where it really comes down to it. It's following COVID and following, I think, a lot of very tense political landscapes and a lot of tense political atmospheres at the moment. Students are trying to retract a bit, I think, from entering spaces that might feel scary or overwhelming. And I think it's about making sure the SU isn't that space. It is a political body. It is there to represent you, and we need to make sure we're holding on to that right. But equally, it needs to be a safe space with good signposting, and it needs to feel safe, and it needs to feel good to be in there, and it needs to be affordable to be in there. So I think it is a kind of a multifaceted answer, but you work with your team to make sure that the education officer, the liberation officer, all of the other officers on your team are also working to make the SU a safe space. And I think the SU president's role is to listen to them and hear their ideas, and also input your own ideas into making that change.
That was great. Thank you, Daisy. And over to you, Will.
Yeah, I don't think the SU currently engages with the students well enough. I think that I might have made that clear already.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the role of a students' union should be what a traditional union is, like what you would imagine a union to be, rather than when you think of the SU, you don't think of what you think like the RMT or other unions around the country are currently doing.
Yeah.
I think the student union in this university and around the country should be used as a method for students to organise, to struggle for the larger issues, the issues that they face, the big issues they face in their everyday lives, the high cost of living, high bills, extortionate tuition fees and stuff like that. Really big issues that will be permanent problems for students unless the student union is completely transformed into a union for students, a true union for students.
Well, yeah, great answer. And finally, Ronke.
Cool. Absolutely not. I'm not just unhappy, I'm upset at the level of student engagement. And I'm so happy you mentioned extortionate tuition fees. International students pay the most extortionate tuition fees possible, and we have the lowest, I'm an international student as well, by the way, I'm from Nigeria, hi everyone. We have the lowest possible engagement with the SU. Like, how does it make sense? Do you think that makes sense? Because I am bewildered. And I understand why international students don't engage, and you almost feel like, first of all, this is not your home, it's not your country, and you just don't understand what's happening. And you look there and you're like, right, so what are we talking about? Like, what are we actually talking about here? Yeah. You don't know, which is why I think, first of all, I think I'm doing a lot by representing all these different groups, even just in the running, to show that, like, I just want everyone out there to know that you do have a place and your voice does count. And I don't think the SU does enough with international student representation. We're such a huge part of the university. I don't know the stats, but about half of the university, I would say, are international students. And they don't engage, they don't care. And it's as if the SU doesn't care, but I care.
Lovely. Well, thank you all for your great answers there. Okay, so we're going to move straight on to question 3. This one is a little bit more about your kind of personal manifesto. And that is, what ideas for student-led campaigns would you guys like to organise if you're successful in running for president? We'll start with you, Jono. Take it away.
So I want to make it feel like freshers every day. My favourite time to be in the SU is when it's busy and when there's something going on and something interesting. I want students to be excited to come to the SU. So I want to introduce a 50% off Friday, where we reduce the costs of an outlet by 50% on a Friday each week. And I want to bring in more like fairs and markets. I want to do a Christmas market. I want to do it about other bands, things that are tangible that students can go to and have that university experience and go make some memories. That's what we take away from uni, a big portion of it, as well as a diploma, obviously. I want to bring the SU to departments that maybe don't have a reason to come. Engineering students often stay in the Diamond and in the Heart Space. Medical students in the medical school. I want to bring the SU to them with pop-ups and stalls in their department buildings. I also want to bring in a new mental health service to replace Nightline. A big reason why it's sharp is because the SU didn't feel like it met the needs of students. So I want to figure out why students, what they want from a mental health service run by other students. And also I want to support students through the cost of living crisis, because everyone's been affected by the cost of living crisis at the minute. Especially students. So I want to introduce a cost of living lottery where each week the SU gives out free tickets to events, free bar tabs, free meals at the outlets, free tickets to different like film unit stuff, all that jazz, to kind of encourage people to come to the SU, but also take a little bit of the financial burden off their plate, and they can put that money towards things like their grocery shop for the week. That's what I want to do.
Thank you, Johnny. Over to you, Daisy.
Yeah, I have so many ideas. It's kind of overwhelming. But just to quickly touch on what Ron Kay said, is international students are continuously failed by the SU and by the university generally. And I think a major part of my manifesto is introducing translation services into the Students' Union. And that would be through using our students that are learning languages as a flexi-staff job role. So it would be offering more jobs in the SU, whilst also ensuring that international students feel supported in things like SSID, so making sure they can access important documentation. Similarly, in the Advice Centre, something that we often run into as someone who works there is we have students coming in who are maybe going through a really tumultuous time and they're not actually able to communicate. So having students, having a staff member there who has a familiarity with their language, who is able to translate properly, would make that experience so much more livable, I think would be the right word. But similarly, I think with a lot of my ideas, it comes from finding what we already have at the university, at the SU, and empowering it upwards. So for example, I really want solar panels on the SU. I want us to become a green energy SU. We are one of the only SUs in the country that even has a planning permission to have solar panels on the SU, and yet we don't have them. We have a sustainability committee for that. We have a welfare committee that really wants to contribute to that as well, because by saving money on that energy, we can equally then put more money into things like mental health. It's also why I want to do a liberation audit and a financial audit of the SU, which are the more kind of boring presidential things, but I think inputting things like audits where we get someone external to come in and say, you know, are you a safe space for marginalised communities? Are you ensuring that there's trans plus inclusion? Are you ensuring that there's inclusion for students from ethnic minorities? We have not ever had a liberation audit, unlike many other SUs in the country, and I think we could really benefit from it. And similarly, I genuinely think we could really benefit in ensuring that we have more fairs and ensuring we have better mental health support and ensuring that international students feel supported. And so many other ideas. Financially review the SU. Where are we losing money? Where can we find more money to put into student-led initiatives? It can be a boring job sometimes, having to do those audits, having those conversations, going through all of the financial reports of different outlets, different departments, but it's necessary and it could make us a lot of money to be able to put more money into what students really want.
Lovely, thank you very much. And Will, what about you?
So I campaign to kick capitalism off campus. That's my little mantra. But I do truly mean it. I think private interests at this university are in complete contradiction to the interests of the students. I think the way the university is run, the fact that companies have a place on campus, they really shouldn't. It is detrimental to the lives of students that they have such a big role on campus. I think a big one is the university's connection to arms companies, BAE Systems, and places like this. The BAE Systems, I think, is the 6th largest arms company in the world, and the university has received £72 million recently from arms companies like this, who profit directly from the murder of children in Gaza and across the world. I think this is detrimental to our lives as students. So I would campaign for these big plans to kick capitalism off campus and things like this.
Okay, thank you very much, Will. And over to you, Ronke.
Right, so because I know I only have a year, I'm focusing on 2 main things. And if I'm able to achieve these 2 things, I'd be extremely happy. Everything else, I will try to do. But first of all, transportation. I just think it should be cheaper for students. I'm trying to put money back into the pockets of students. If it's not cheaper, if we can't get everything down to £1, let's just take that bus 120, let's acquire it. Let's just get it for ourselves. Go on it for free. Because Endcliffe is very far away, guys. Second thing, food. Food should not be as expensive as it is, and it's genuinely just atrocious. And third, and I think this would be easier to achieve than the other 2 things, but just have an international student voice and just hear what are the opinions of international students, what problems are you facing, and how can we make this easier for you and better for you.
Great, thank you very much. And finally, Zoe, take it away.
Okay, so in regards to how a student-led campaign, if you look at my manifesto, I have some ideas for things I want to change, but I just really want to focus on one key point here. We're all talking a lot about changing the SU, what we're going to introduce in the SU, and that's all great, but one thing that I don't want to fearmonger, but if I'm being honest, one threat that I'm really seeing, and I have seen through a time as an officer now, is the university's proposal to close the Wellbeing and Welfare team. If you're not aware of what the Wellbeing and Welfare team does, these are trained professionals who help students going through mental health crisis If you've been a victim of a sexual assault, they have sexual violence liaison officers, specifically trained members of staff who will help you through that trauma. They help international students who are struggling to fit in Sheffield. They help people who've been a victim of hate crime. They help people who are really struggling academically. They help people if they feel like they'll take a leave of absence, or maybe they're come back from a leave of absence and they need help. I can go on forever and ever what this team does, but the bottom line is that they help students with their mental health, and they are a team actually designed to do that. And the University of Sheffield is proposing, under this new restructure, to shut it down and replace it with a safeguarding unit, which they have not consulted anyone about. And I think it will be so detrimental to students if we just let this happen. And also the fact that the university, if you didn't know this happening, it's because the university hasn't told you. They're hiding it from you. They're purposely hiding it from you. The only reason I know about this is because I'm an officer now, and they sort of have to tell us, but they're certainly encouraging us to not talk about it, and I'm sorry, but I refuse to play by those rules, student voice always, but we really need to campaign against this. We need to start getting open letters, we need to start mobilising students, we need to really mobilise the student body against this, because if this closes down, it will just not only be detrimental in and of itself, but it'll start a train of cost-cutting from the uni where they just start shutting all the support for students down. And it's one of the biggest that I want to run for president is because I'm not going to let that happen.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer. Let's move on to our final question with this group, and that is, what is the one most important thing about the SU that you'd most like to improve, and the one thing you love about the SU, if there is one, that you would like to work to maintain? Daisy, we'll start with you.
I think the one thing I'd really like to improve is, I think like many candidates have touched on, is the dwindling sense of self I think the SU has at the moment. Is we're not sure where we're sitting. We owe a lot to companies who are coming in, often companies that we don't really want to align ourselves with. We had a Sheen nightclub at the beginning of this year. That is not okay. That is not the identity we choose to align ourselves with. Similarly, students are like increasingly feeling like they do not have a voice anymore, and that is down to the Students' Union. The university is very complicit in quashing students. That is an unavoidable fact. But I think having the Student Union at our fingertips and being able to utilise it as a tool for change, as well as a community and a place for a sense of self, is really important. And I think with a lot of my policies and a lot of the work I'd like to do, I'd like to regain that back. I want to go back to the SU that people used to go, I know why it's number one, and it is number one for everyone. Something I really love about the SU, which could sound slightly contradictory, is, however, the community that does exist within it. So, we have Forge, we have multiple societies, we have people who are sitting on council, we have Flexi staff, we have all of these amazing communities that all exist to wake the Students' Union, and it is the reason that it is the number one Students' Union, and we fight like hell against what the university does when we disagree with it. And you can see that in students, you can see it in the protests that happen outside the Students' Union, you can see it. And we are a supportive community that just needs more empowerment to be able to support each other better.
Perfect, thank you very much. Will, what about you?
I think the biggest sort of gripe that I have with the SU is that it isn't run the way it should be. It isn't run, like I say, as a union for students. It isn't a place where students can go and organise and mobilise effectively against these big issues. They don't. When I speak to people about the demands I have, they think that it's unrealistic, because it's like, well, the SU, what's the SU actually do? If you're SU president, what can you actually do? Because they have this idea about what the SU is, that it's unable to enact substantial change. So I would, that's something that needs to be completely transformed in the minds of students as well, that the SU is a powerless organisation that only can enact sort of meaningless small changes. And this occurs through, like I say, mobilisation of students, organising students and organising their views, using the SU as a place where these opinions can be developed and discussed democratically and then acted upon as a mass movement, as a mass student movement. I'd say probably the thing I like most about the current SU, I think Interval has a half-decent tap. Yeah. So that's probably it, yeah.
Decent, brilliant. And Ronke, what about you?
Okay. One of my biggest issues with the SU is that it feels like a place for some students rather than all students. And I know that's not what it is, but that's what it can feel like. And that's one thing I really want to change, because we're about 30,000 students in the SU, and this is a space for all of us. It's a space for you, and for me. And I needed to feel that way. I don't want people to be scared or confused about the SU. One thing I do like about the SU is that it's extremely supportive. I think when I decided to run for president, the amount of support I received was unbelievable. It's just that, right, no, yes, the support is great, and I want every student to know that they can be supported by the SU.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Zoe, over to you.
I think the thing most about the SU that I really want to change is, especially with the way the officer team is run, I really want the political side of the SU to be more accessible and also more transparent. It's really it's really difficult if you're a student and you're not involved in the SU yet. Like, what do officers do? What is a council like? What? And it's actually really hard to even find out about that. One of the things I really want to introduce to change that is to actually have monthly manifesto progress updates. As president, actually going through each month, what at each point of my manifesto, what have I done for it, to actually get transparency. And I think that bringing back that sort of accountability and transparency in the SU will make it have more integrity as a sort of political space. But the thing I love most about the SU is, it's a similar answer to what Daisy said, was that our community needs to grow, it's ever growing, but the community that we have so far is just amazing. When I was in my first and second year of university, I really struggled. I had to take a leave of absence, and I really struggled making friends. I was really lonely, and it was through literally getting involved with the Students' Union where I met all my friends, and that I sort of did things I didn't think were possible. I didn't think I could ever become an officer. I didn't think I'd be able to be debating with people or with Forge now, and now I am. That's because of the SU community, and I think it's a really special thing that we should really cherish.
Lovely answer. Thank you very much. And finally, over to you, Johnny.
I think for me, the thing we need to improve is engagement in the SU. Like Ronke said, 33,000 students. How many are actually able to access the SU? How many feel safe and able to access the SU? So I want to really improve that, get more people into the SU, get more people involved, and then from there we can expand. And then one thing I love is kind of seconding Daisy, seconding Zoe, seconding Ronke, the community and support I felt from the SU, and the community we create with the over 300 different societies and sports clubs who do an amazing job providing safe spaces for people. I think that's so special. I would want to really maintain that.
Brilliant. Okay, well, that marks an end to the part one of filming with you guys. Thank you, Will, Ronke, Zoe, Jono, and Daisy, for all making the time to come down and to give your answers. I hope you've all enjoyed coming on to impart a bit about your manifesto and policies. And I wish you all equal chances of success. Okay, now we're going to cut here and probably move on to part two of filming. We'll be back in just a second. Make sure you stay tuned.